Hello guys, and welcome to Healing Hearts with Sarah. Tonight we're going to be asking the question, have you ever felt invisible? Now I don't mean invisible in the literal sense, but have you ever been in a room full of people and you're contributing, you're listening, but you don't ever feel like people are really listening to you? Almost like your background noise in your own life, where you quietly wonder that if you stopped making an effort, would anybody really notice? If that question has stirred something in you, then please stick around, because I think this video could be for you. Now, this video is not going to be a motivational speech or a video to try and make you be louder in your life. It's more about why invisibility became a survival strategy for you. Often this is linked to childhood trauma or being in a relationship where you never actually really felt heard. Trauma, unfortunately, trains us to be silent and to be unheard and to go unnoticed. I'm hoping this video will be an insight on how you can slowly train yourself to become a little bit more visible, but without exposing yourself. You see, feeling invisible isn't about being ignored, say once or twice. It's something that is constantly built up over time. And unfortunately, it's a pattern that will follow you across lots of different types of relationships, whether that's friendships, loving relationships, relationships with your family. You'll often find that this follows you. And it will look like things like, for example, like you're always the person that everyone comes to vent to tell you about their problems. It also might show up as being included in things, but not actually feeling like they want you to contribute. So maybe they're not considering your feelings. And most importantly, it's about being valued for what you give, but not who you are. And I think what makes it worse is a lot of the time, invisibility is rewarded with words that we're meant to find encouraging. So, like, for example, I used to always get told, oh my God, you're really strong. You're independent, you can handle anything. That made me feel invisible, because the person that's being strong isn't the one that anybody reaches out to and checks in on whenever they might need someone. It isn't somebody that they would expect to ever ask for help, because you're the strong one. Therefore, this gives you a sense of invisibility. And being easygoing, which in my eyes, easygoing meant I was being a people pleaser. I'm not saying that's for everyone, but a lot of my life I spent feeling invisible. And we'll get into that a little bit more later on in the video. Beneath all those labels that are meant to be good, there's a hidden truth in there, where some point in your life it was easier to be invisible than to show up or to be loud or to cause any confrontation. It was just easier to be invisible. Maybe you learned that having your own needs came at a cost. So it was easier just to blend into the background. For many people, invisibility doesn't start in adulthood. You'll find a lot of people, it actually started from childhood, and it's something that you've carried on into adult life. This is especially true if you grew up with emotional neglect, maybe child abuse, unpredictable caregivers, never feeling like you were heard, or being too scared to speak out. Because let's face it, in those situations, being seen could be dangerous. Attention meant scrutiny. Visibility meant consequences. And honesty wasn't safe. You probably stayed quiet. You stayed agreeable and stayed out of the way. And you'll probably find, very much like me, you learnt to read the room. You learnt to try and anticipate what people's moods were going to be like. You felt the energy of the room shift if something bad was about to happen. That's because you were very hyper-vigilant. And that is also a sign of invisibility. But I just want to point out, if any of those things resonate with you, that is not weakness, especially as a child. That's intelligence. The fact that your nervous system knew how to protect you, that's a strength. That's not a weakness. Unfortunately, many survivors of child abuse hold secrets, and those secrets are probably what made you feel like you were invisible. Nobody actually really knew you. You'd spend more time probably in your head than you would speaking out loud, because speaking out loud had consequences. I shared a dirty little secret for so many years when I was a kid, that now friends that I had back in my young childhood, when they find out what I've actually been through, they're surprised because I was so good at wearing that mask. But yeah, I've had a very abusive upbringing, but to the outside world, I was just quiet. I didn't really get involved with anything. I kept myself to myself. I basically was invisible. So therefore nobody noticed what was going on at home, because I made myself invisible enough for nobody to notice. Me personally, I learned very early on that telling the truth had detrimental consequences. Anytime I did try and speak out, the perpetrator would find out, and I would get into so much shit because of it that there was just no point. And then the other thing is when you do try and speak out and you're not believed. I think that was the worst thing for me growing up, was when I wasn't believed. So you learn to hold everything in. The fear, the pain, the questions that you probably have running around your head, you hold that all in. And over time, unfortunately, that secrecy becomes part of your identity. And someone once said to me, you don't just have walls, you are your walls. And I don't know if that would make any sense to you, but I didn't just build a wall around myself. I built a wall around everything. I became the wall. And unfortunately, even when the danger is gone, your body doesn't know that. The body still thinks that if you expose yourself, you're putting yourself at risk. So it was quite easy to stay invisible for a very big part of my life. Also, the problem with feeling invisible is it's hard to get genuine connections. Like, I struggled to make proper friends growing up. Relationships suffered because I was scared that closeness meant vulnerability, and vulnerability meant that I wasn't safe. Closeness sometimes can feel threatening. It's wanting intimacy but being scared of it. It's saying that you want something deep and meaningful, but when you get it, you shy away from it. And it's almost like sharing surface level of you, but being scared of that deeper connection. It can be feeling suffocated when somebody is trying to show you emotional intimacy. And this isn't a fear of love. You don't fear love itself. What you fear is the closeness and what that once cost you. Unfortunately, your nervous system will remember, and you'll probably say things in your head like, if I get close to them, I'm going to get hurt. I'm better off alone. So your invisibility almost becomes like a compromise. Like, you're there, but you're not really there. You're present, but you're not exposing yourself. You'll often find that people that feel quite invisible as well will be people pleasers. It's not necessarily because if you please people, you'll get approval. Approval meant safety. It meant you weren't going to get hurt. So you'd compromise to the detriment of yourself probably half the time. Because let's face it, approval meant safety. You'll probably find that if you were useful, you weren't targeted. If you're helpful, you'll be tolerated. And if you're low maintenance, they will want to stay around. So you give too much of yourself. You listen. You minimize yourself. And then that invisibility feels familiar again. Now, staying invisible might feel safe. It might avoid conflict, but it also takes away intimacy. It takes away that feeling of really being seen and really being heard. For many people as well, feeling invisible will give them a heightened sense of anxiety. It'll be like emotional numbness, where they literally can't feel anything. Maybe you burn out too quickly. But I think the worst feeling out of all of it is being around people but constantly feeling lonely. You can be surrounded by all your family and still feel lonely. You can be in a room full of all your friends, all your family, and still feel like nobody sees you. And the problem is your body will carry what your voice doesn't say. And eventually, you're going to start thinking things like, do I even exist? And I want to point out something else here, that healing doesn't mean that you have to tell everybody your story. It's choosing the people that you feel safe enough to open up to. Being visible doesn't mean trauma dumping. And becoming visible can be as little as being honest with yourself and speaking out when you need to. Being able to set boundaries without having to over-explain why. Letting somebody witness your disappointment. If you don't agree with something, speak out, tell them you don't agree with it. At the end of the day, we all should be able to speak our minds. And if you're around the right people, that shouldn't matter. They should listen to you. And another thing, being able to sit in silence without feeling like you have to fill up the gaps. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you here as well. When you start becoming more visible, you're going to lose people. And the reason that happens is because while you were being quiet, while you were being strong, while you were being the person that can just deal with everything, everyone else didn't have to worry about you. But when you start becoming more visible and wanting to be seen, not everyone can handle that. Some people prefer the version of you that gave without ever asking for anything in return. Those people are not the type of people that should be in your life. And you will lose people when you start healing. It's just, unfortunately, it's part of the process, but it is a good thing. Let me reassure you that it is a good thing, because those people that only had you around while you were invisible and you were always there for them ain't meant to be sat at your table at the end of the day. You only want people that are sitting at your table that will contribute to your life as much as you contribute to theirs. Otherwise, it's one-sided. And none of us, it's like having a one-sided relationship. You know, you love that person, but you know they don't love you. You just wouldn't stay there, would you? Well, you probably would if you were a people pleaser, but that's a different story. We'll talk about that in another video in the future. But you kind of get what I'm saying. The people that you lose when you start having a voice are the people that weren't meant to be there in the first place. And just a reminder that real safety doesn't feel intense. It feels calming. It feels like not having to rehearse a conversation before you get home. It feels like not feeling like you need to hide parts of yourself to be loved. And it feels like having the strength to say when you're not strong. Not having to put on a performance or wear that mask. Those are the types of people that you want to keep in your life. The ones that allow you to be visible and still stand there beside you. Not with their hands out waiting for you to give and give. They want to be there to support you just as much as you have supported them. And healing probably feels really boring because your nervous system is finally allowing you to feel safe. So before I go, I just want to say, if you grew up having to disappear in order to survive, I want you to hear this. You learned it. And whatever you've learned can be unlearned. Slowly, safely, but most of all, on your terms, nobody else's. You deserve to be seen without being harmed. And the people that are meant for you will meet you where you are, not where you used to hide. You're not invisible here. I see you. Thank you very much, guys. And if you did get this far in the video, please hit that subscribe button. Lots and lots of love. Take care, guys.